Hi everybody, my name is Harry Jacobs and I am the North of 60 Gamer, and welcome! Today we are looking at Battleground Fantasy Warfare. This game has been around since 2005 and it is now 2022, and there is a new Kickstarter coming, and there'll be some reprints and some new factions, and I'm going to show you a couple of the new factions. This is a miniature system, but it doesn't use miniatures. It uses cards. Everything you need comes in the box except for dice and a dry erase marker. So let's go down to the table and take a look at Battlegrounds Fantasy Warfare. So here are the boxes right here in the middle of my table, and these are very small footprint. Everything you need comes in a box except for, as I said, dice, dry erase markers, and you're going to want some sleeves so that you don't actually write on the card. There are 3 factions that I have here, but there are a number of factions, and I took a look on Board Game Geek, and there must be at least 20 factions going back to 2005. I believe the Risen Kingdom and Orcs and Goblins are new. The Dwarves of the Rune Guard, I'm not sure what the date is. I'll put that down in the comments as we go along. We'll just open one of the box. Let's go with the Dwarves of the Rune Guard. Now these are already pre-opened. You can see each game comes with a quick start rules. This is common among all of them. So these are the quick start rules. However, if we go to the bottom here, we also have a big thick main rule book with lots of rules. So this has all kinds of miniature rules in here so that you can play it as a miniatures game. In this particular box, we have lots of cards, so there are tons and tons of cards that come with them. Each one of these cards represents some units. There we are. In this case, we have Gate Wardens. We have lots and lots of Gate Wardens. There we are, Gate Wardens. We have Hinterland Ram Riders. We have Home Guard Tinkerer Bowfolk. Sorry guys, my eyes aren't quite focusing in the mornings. We have Forge Wardens. All of them have, as you see across the bottom here, green, yellow, red. So green, you're healthy. Yellow, you might rout, and red, you're definitely probably going to rout. So, and then the formulas of fighting are along the bottom, and then here's where you're going to write your command orders. Now, they highly recommend that these are a very nice finish, and they're thick, not like some games. But they recommend sleeves, and you can use the sleeves rather than write on the card, and it'll save your cards. However, there are reinforcement decks that you can buy, and they're slightly smaller with tons of cards in them. But that is the main makeup of what is in the box, is these cards. Now, in these are command cards. So there are cards in the box. These are command cards. Command cards come in basically 2 colors: blue, which is defense, and red, which is offense. And we will use them through the game, and you can use them in one battle. Now, when you're fighting your units, you can only use one, so you can either use offensive if you want to go offensive, or defense, but you can't use both in a skirmish when you're fighting. These are reminder cards, and this system is really, really neat, because as you can see, this is also the ruler. So when you're fighting, you will use this card to measure how the movement, instead of the traditional tape measure or ruler, you will actually use these cards. Now, that doesn't stop you if you want to pull out a tape measure or ruler, but it does make everything in the box, pretty much. And with that being said, we are going to look at these other factions in a minute. We're going to set up a skirmish and some examples. We're going to look at some of the units and how they work. We're going to simulate some dice, and we're going to set up a battle. So bear with me. Give me a minute. Let's get this going. So I'm just taking a sneak peek. Here are the Risen Kingdom, and here are the Orcs and Goblins. Oh, I could be excited about this. In fact, I ordered a few more of these myself. from Board Game Bliss in Canada. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a lot of them because there was only 4 factions available in Canada. And from the United States, things are just way, way too expensive. But here we are with a Death Knight. So these are new units, and I believe these might even be prototypes. These are Banshees. Oh, I love Banshees. And we're going to be looking at these closer. We have Skeleton Hordes, the Skeleton Spears, Skeleton Trolls. Oh my god. Skeleton Cavalry. And of course, the command cards. And we're going to be using those. And everything you need on a unit is in the back. So there we are. If we look at the back of our zombies, we are fearless, lesser undead, equipment, grasping moribund hands and rotten teeth in putrid mouths. Yum! And it's worth 104 points. So this game uses a point system when building your army. And that's pretty standard among miniatures, where each game will give you a point. So a small game might be 400 or 500 units. So you might play 4 units against each other. So I think we're going to be pitting our dwarves against either the Rising Kingdom or some orcs and goblins, the traditional enemies. So there we are. We've got a few of their units here. We have Orc Raiders. Yum. Goblin... What are they? Goblin Scholars. Now you have to do, excuse me guys, I do have some cataracts, and so it's hard for me to see. Orc Marauders. And we have Orc Iron Crushers. No, Iron Raiders. Orc Iron Raiders. And we have a number of different Goblin Wolf Riders. All those traditional goblins and orcs that you find in things like Lord of the Rings. And this is really neat. Go to the bottom, and there's a catapult. How cool is that? So that's what's in the other 2 boxes. We are going to take a closer look at how this all works and how this system works. And we're going to probably be working very low down on our table like you see here so that you can see the cards. And what we'll do is probably put some of these formulas up as we go along. But that is awesome. That's what's in the box of each one of these boxes. Again, they come with a quick start guide as well as a advanced guide. I have never played a miniatures version like this in cards. I have played miniatures, usually World War II. So this is kind of exciting for me. I like the idea of the system. I have some friends who would love to play something like this because I could put it out on the table. It takes 5 minutes to set up, even if you just set up a skirmish line and went head to head. But there are opportunities. There is a campaign game. There's terrain that you can buy. There's a few other supporting materials that allow you to build scenarios. But today we're going to keep to the basics. Start looking at the game itself. We are on the table for the Battlegrounds Fantasy Warfare and the Risen Kingdom. And we are playing Okabron the Examiner versus Eban the Bard. Eban the Bard, of course, is running the Death Knight gang over here with his zombies. And Okabron, the Examiner, Okabron the Examiner, is with his skeleton hordes. And over here we have a skeleton troll, a skeleton archer, and 2 skeleton spears. Over here we have a Death Knight and 3 zombies. We have set this up, and I'll just show you this up on the book here. There we are. That is the setup there. Now, there is 15 inches between here and here. Now, to the sides, not so much space. Sorry, I am limited. It says I'm supposed to have about 14.5 inches. But since we're just showing you off the game, I don't think we need to worry about it. Here is the one spell that we use, Kess Drake's Boundless Reanimations. And it allows us to use a command, of which we get 2 commands at the beginning of each turn, to change and move. So, but we'll explain more of that as we get towards the game. And this is basically a healing spell. We have given out 1 of each of the command cards. There is the pile of command cards, and you can see each of our commanders has a command spell. And you can get, or a command card, you can pick up a command card again using one of your command actions. So that'll be the first thing we're really going to talk about, is what are those command actions and how do we get into the game. But the first thing that we're really going to do is talk about the units themselves. And one of the first things that we're going to do is ensure that there's 3 commands that each unit can have. It's a range command, in which our skeleton archers will get a range, which is an R. Hopefully you can see that. Let me see if I can get a deeper color. Yeah, that R didn't really work. So let's try this color. R. There we are. So that means ranged. For the rest of them, they're going to get a C. C, C, and that means close. So that means automatically, unless I take control of a unit, and we'll talk about that in a moment, that they are going to close on each other. And each one of these are going to close by a specified amount of units, in inches, of course. And so the skeleton spears will move 3.5 inches, and 3.5 inches is the side of a card. There we are. And we can see that there. And if you look right at the very end where my finger is, you might be able to see the 3.5 inches. And the zombies, the trolls move 5 inches. Our Death Knight moves 5 inches as well. And our zombies only move 2.5 inches. So this is going to be a very interesting game. Now, as I said earlier, the cards are set up, and here are reminder cards. And there's one right there. If you look at the reminder card, let's bring that up here. If you look at the reminder card, you can see the little lines here. And that gives you half measurements. So if we look at one of the cards, let's just see which card it is here. One of these cards, usually there it is. So if we show you this card, what it shows you is all the inches and what the sides of the cards mean. So let's just say if we had a 8.5 inches, we're 1 point SS, right? So that's the small size. So 1 large size plus 2 small sizes. 7 inches is 1 and 1, basically a 5 and a 3.5, and a 3.5 is 7 inch. So that'd be, so a 3.5 and a 3.5 move would be 2 lengths of this, and this is 2.5 inches, and this is 3.5 inches. That is a standard size card. Anything else, of course, I can use my handy tape measure. So basically R is for ranged. Now the problem is, of course, that range for the skeleton archers is 14 inches. If we take our tape measure, which is somewhat correct, there we are, 14 inches, 13, 14, we can see that there's nobody in range of our archers, right? And basically they would have a front facing like that, right? So basically they could cover the whole field here from here. However, unfortunately, they are out of the range at the moment. They all have special abilities like sprinting, charging. So if you are able to charge, you're going to get an extra dice. There's a few of those types of commands that we're going to look at as we get closer. So there's 3 phases to each of the turns, and the first phase being the movement and command phase. Each player will get 2 command points, and we'll talk about command points in just a moment. The next is the combat phase. So in other words, if they are engaged, then they will fight each other. Fighting happens simultaneously. You attack and defend simultaneously, which makes sense, right? So it's not me and I do a lot of damage, there's nothing left. So you're going to attack each other and take your damage. And then we are going to do the courage phase. So anybody who gets down at these yellows and reds have a chance to rout, or basically turn their back on the enemy and run away. Not something you really want to have in a fight, because they are going to get damaged pretty heavily. Now keep in mind, if you've ever watched those movies where there's these great lines. And then the guys turn tail, and next thing you know, the archers are just shooting them down, and they're falling down in these medieval type battles. So this does have a number of medieval boxes as well. Right now, these are the fantasy modules we're playing. So that is what we're going to be doing first. In the command phase, we can change the standing order. So the standing orders right now are close and the ranged. We can direct control. So one of the things we can do on our ranged unit is I could take a direct control of this, and then I can move him to get him into range. Then we're going to draw a command card. We could use a spell, and we can rally. Each one of those uses a command, and if you don't use them, that is the end of the turn. So that is basically what we're going to do. We are going to start reviewing right now what the commands are on each one of these. So we're going to start sort of looking at how this works, and we're going to go from there. So our two armies are lined up face with each other, and we're going to have to start moving them. This is going to be a little bit problematic, but the first thing we're going to do over here is I'm going to take a card for my first command action. My next command action is I am going to take my Death Knight, and now I don't have to use, if I just follow the command that's in his box, it's 2.5 inches. 2.5 inches. He can move 5, so that's 1. 5, that's 2. The zombies only move up 2.5 inches, which is the small side, right? Which basically goes to here. And this zombie is kind of, I have to move him up, unfortunately, because I didn't put a hold on him. Now, if I put a hold on him for the next move, which is probably what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my last command action to change this to an H, just to put a little space so I can start to turn him, or else he's just going to stay behind forever. And so we're going to have to do something with him. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come over. Now there's no engagement. We're not close enough to fight. We're going to go exactly over to here and do exactly almost the same thing. We're going to come over to... first thing we're going to do is, I don't know if we're going to take a card right away, because I'm probably going to do something a little bit different with these guys. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to move our skeleton spears up 3.5 inches, which is to here. Which is to here. Our skeleton troll moves up 5 inches, which is 2 of the short sides. So that's 1, 2. Now I am going to put this guy, I'm going to do 2 different things here. I'm going to change this to a hold for my first command action, because they get a bonus against cavalry. Death Knights are cavalry. So they get a defensive bonus, and that's why we're putting them on hold. I am going to take control of our ranged unit, and we are going to move it up 3.5 inches. So we should be 3.5 inches right behind this guy, more or less. And we're just going to do we're going to move him up 3.5 inches. Now we're into the battle. So first of all, we have to determine the range. So anything over 7 inches is considered long range. So there is nobody, if you look at that for 7 inches, there is nobody in range, including the Death Knight. However, if we look at the 14-inch range, we have, if we go from the center, basically everybody's in range except for this zombie here. Now, I am not a miniatures player, as I've said before, so this is all very different for me. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at our archer card. So I'm going to bring up the archer card, and you can see the stats. He rolls normally 4 dice, but he's not going to be able to roll 4 dice because he's at long range, so that's 1 less dice. He needs 5s to hit, and the defense of our Death Knight is a 4. So the skeleton archers can attack any of these 3 units, and yes, they can fire over their skeletal spears. Now, the Death Knight has a 2 for a defense. That means I am 4. I'm 5 minus 1, so 4 minus 2 is 2. I'd have to have 2s to hit him, where the zombie horde only has a 1. But they are tough. But I think we're going to try to hit them. So 4 minus 1 is 3, so I'm going to need 3 or less on these dice to hit. And we've hit twice. Now we look at the second number, which is the toughness numbers. So basically the power number I have is 5, and the toughness is 3. So I'm going to be looking for 2s to harm the zombie. And again, so that's just a miss. So that is a ranged attack. At the end of the attack, there's routing, but there is no routing to be done here. And that is the first turn. That's as easy as this system gets. It's a great little system. And we're going to take the next turn. And we're going to show you a little bit more. We're going to try to maneuver a little bit. We really didn't do a maneuver, but we'll see what we can do here. So let's go on to our next turn. The bard is going to move. He gets to move his 5 inches. Basically what happens is he's going to move 2.5 inches. Then he charges. So we're going to just put a marker here right now to let us know that he has charged. So when you're charging, he's going to get some bonuses. And not only that, he's going to get his 6 dice plus an 8th dice, 2 bonus dice for charging. Now, one of the things we know about the holding and their spearmen, they're also going to have a bonus to their power as well. So there we go. So they're going to have actually 8 dice and then some bonuses here. Our next movement is, I think what we're going to do is we might take another, well, we'll see whether we take another command card. Right now, I think we'll just move our zombies up, and the zombies only move 2.5 inches. Which is the short side, of course. 1, 2. And what we're going to do now is take control of this particular zombie. And I don't know if we have enough room to maneuver him yet. We want to move him 2.5 inches. But we want to move him this way. Or actually, I want to move him this way. So we would have to turn this and move it 2.5 inches. We probably just have enough room to do that. There we are. And so we're going to try to, and we're going to do that though, I would have had to change him back to a C for my first command action. Then we moved him his 2.5 inches, and as we move, we're going to try to move and swing around to pinch the troll because he's big ass. So we are going to play this card for defense, and during the attack, the unit's going to get +1 toughness, and we're going to lose one of the dice, so we went from 8 to 7 dice. And we are going to get a bonus for being hardened. So the spears get a +2 toughness. So actually, they're going to have a +3 toughness, which gives them a 4 to my 4. Basically, we're pretty much not going to do anything against them other than bunch up against them. So thanks to this card, they're going to take literally no damage at this point in time. So even if I hit them, which is a 6, sorry, the toughness is 6, And they're a 4, so we're going to need 2s. So the first thing we're going to do is they're hardened, so they're going to get so they have 2 to my 6, so it's going to take 4s. And you can see I have only run 1 3. And 6s are always a failure, basically. Then I can only roll 1 dice. So I have a 4. I have a toughness of 6. They have a toughness of 1, plus the bonus of being hard, plus this particular bonus. So basically, I have to roll a 2 or less to hit them. I rolled a 6. I did not hit them. I probably should have used an attack. Do I have an attack card? I could have gotten a +2 on that, but that's okay. Since it's a simultaneously hit at this point in time, we get to now attack our Death Knights. So according to our handy reminder cards, our cavalry gets +1 for cavalry, which the Death Knights are. So they're going to actually get 6s. They're going to roll 6 dice as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they roll a 5 to my 2. So they're going to need 4s. So we have 2, 2, 2, 2. So we've got 2 potential hits. Then their toughness is a 5. My is a 4. So basically I need a 1. So they need 2 1s, which are automatically successes. And no. So they did not hit us. Because attack is simultaneously, that allows us, the archers, to weigh in here. The archers have a 4 dice. 1, 2, 3, 4. And they have a power of 5 to my 2, so they need 3s. So we have 2 potential hits. They have a 5 to my 4. We need 1s again. They do. There we go. We have a 1. 1 is an automatic success. First strike against the Death Knights. And that is our combat. Now it is our turn. Or I should say the examiner's turn. So we're already engaged here. This card is gone. I'll just put that way over here. We are now going to leave our card here. So range is going to attack. They're already engaged. I think what we're going to try to do is we're going to turn this guy. We'll just move him out of the way. We know he is up to here at this point. We'll move him first. He gets 5 inches. He is going to charge basically into our zombies. He's got 5 inches. There's 3.5. He's going to charge right into our zombies. So we could take a command right now, and we're going to take this command and we're going to turn him. So what we're going to do here is we're going to move this unit, who should have a C there, but I'm going to take a hold of it for the first point, is that I am going to then turn him. And we always turn from the outside corner, right? Like this, and then we're going to move him 3.5 inches, which basically says that we're going to move him just like that, and slams him into the into our Death Knights. And our ranged is going to stay right here. And in fact, you know what? I think what we're going to do for our second command is we're going to take a point right there. So we have to fight. So that we're going to start with our trolls. Our trolls do 5. They roll 5 dice, have a power of 5 against our zombies, which only have a toughness of 1. They have to roll 4, so they roll 5 dice for 4. And basically, 1s are always successes. So he's hit with every dice he has. Now he hits with 7 to my 3. So anything 4s are going to basically smack him. Oh, only 2. So we got very, very lucky. Look at that. 1, 2. Our archers, anything over 7 inches. Okay, so the archers are going to do the skeleton spears here. Oh no, they're going to do the Death Knight again, the Death Knight. So we're going to do a 5 dice. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Oops, 5. They are going to, let's take a look at here. Engaged attack. Okay, so we're not going to do anything here. And so we're going to take a ranged attack, which is a 5, to our Death Knight, which is a 2. So we're going to have to look for 3s. Oh, we got a couple. There we go. And then we're going to, oh, and one thing we did not do the last turn is we have to mark off our ammo. There's only so much ammo. So we do 3. Now his toughness, his power versus the toughness is 5 versus 4. So we need 1s. We did not get any 1s, so we did not hit. Then what we're going to do is look at the formation here. So we have a strike, head-on strike. So we're going to use this card right here. Now I don't know if I have anything for defense. I do. So we're going to use roll with the blow, and that roll is going to let us turn up their dice attack. Play during an attack, either after your opponent rolls to hit or to wound. Increase the result of die by 1. The set of dice cannot be re-rolled. Of die by 1. So this is pinched. This would have been his final charge because they charged, basically wheeled. And then this is now pinched. Now he has to do a pinch check. It's a special routing check that basically says that I'm going to roll 3 dice, and if it's less than 13, he's going to turn tail and run. So we have 10. So he's not going to turn tail and run. That is great. So right at this point in time, we are now going to attack. So the unit here is a 6. He's going to get actually extra dice because he has that final charge. He gets +2, but he gets also a +1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 modifier to his 5. So now he's a 6 because he's pinched. He is a 4. So basically 2s. We're looking for a whole bunch of 2s. We have a 1, we have a 2, we have 2 2s. That's great. Now we're doing the this guy, which is a spear. He's a 5 versus his 4. He's looking for 1s. He missed. He is part of the pincer movement here. So he's going to get a 5. He gets 6 dice. So he's looking for a 6. So he's looking for, again, he's looking for a some 4s. 4, 1, 3, 3. So potentially we've got some hits here. And again, so we are 5. But here we're going to use this card now. Oh, it gave us an extra dice. So actually we're going to use this card. Gives us an extra dice. So we are looking for basically 1s at this point. So we have 2 1s. Now, you may notice, and I'll put this up on the, let's find our knights here. There they are. That we have some dimpled boxes. So if you look here, you can see they're slightly dimpled. And what that means, there's a route check. And we did that. It's almost the same as the pinch check. We're going to roll 3 dice. But we're not in the yellow yet. So long as we roll 13 or less, we're going to be fine. 4, we are not going to take off on them. That is great. We are now going to use our archers. We did our archer, actually. So that is, we should have done our archer earlier. I'm still not 100% totally sure on this game. It's going to take a few turns, and it's very hard to simulate 2 people fighting when you're handling both. But I think there's enough here to show you kind of how this game goes. I've showed you the movements. I've showed you some of the commands. We've got some of the cards. So I think we didn't use the spell. Basically, next turn what could happen is that if I was to use a command, I could erase one of these, which is a point of damage, keeping the Death Knight out of there. So you can see now we're going to have a flanker here, and we're going to have to turn and move him again this way. So at the end of the next turn, what would happen is I would use this spell as a command. Then I would move him up for his 2. These are engaged. I would have to take control of him and basically move him his 2.5 inches, which is, if we look at that from the farthest corner, it's really basically going to take us to that. And then he's going to have to swing around. It's going to take at least 2 or 3 turns to get there. Meanwhile, he's going to get punished. And that's kind of the way this battle is going to work. Right now, I would say that the skeletons are having a big advantage here. So let me go to final thoughts and tell you what I think of the game. I am looking forward to actually trying this. I have a friend, and I'm going to actually be playing this afternoon, and I think we're going to take it over to his house, and we're going to try this. I think this is an excellent system. There are plenty of different factions. This goes back to 2005, and I didn't count them all, but there's at least 15, maybe 20 different factions. High elves, undeads, mercenaries, monsters. I saw a dragon, orcs, goblins, high elves, elves. So there's plenty of different factions to play with. There's historical factions as well. And this game, I believe, started as a historical game, bringing miniatures to the table without actually the miniatures. This game set up very, very quickly in terms of the quick start guide. Now, there are plenty more rules to go as far as the advanced rules, and there's a ton of advanced rules. But let's talk about rules first for quick start. Amazing. Very quick to get into the game. 5 minutes gets you set up and ready to go. The rules are easy to follow. A little bit tricky when I'm trying to figure out how to move and things like that. But the rules are really straightforward. C's, H, R's, they do what they do until you basically interrupt them. And you only get 2 commands to interrupt them. So you have to be super careful not to jam up your forces like I did over here. And so that's going to be a much of a disadvantage as anything else. So we would continue on, of course, until you can see down here, until last man was standing. Units die, of course, when they get down into the red and they're dead, or they're, once they run away, you have to rally them, and then hopefully they'll come back into the fray until they die amazing death. So the rules are good. Thematically, love the theme. This game could be anything you wanted. You could reenact Lord of the Rings if you wanted to. I suppose you could take the battles and put some terrain down and actually run some battles for Lord of the Rings. So theme is what you make of it. So you could put this in a historical context. You could put this in a fantasy context. Or you can just have some fun with it. Price-wise, in Canada, the main boxes run about $30 each. There it is there. That'll be run about $30 in Canada. The reinforcement decks run about $15 each in Canada. It's about the same price in the US. The problem, of course, is I can't get them here in Canada. The shipping is crazy. I tried. When I looked at $100 worth of gaming, it was $70 to ship, and I just said, yeah, sorry, I can't do that. So thematically, we're good. We've talked about the rules. The play is easy. A bit of this measurement thing, which is a bit awkward for me because I've never done it before, so it's a bit awkward. I like the game. Generally, I'm going to give this game 2 thumbs up. I would say that if you're into miniatures but don't want to have the bother of setting up miniatures and the painting, of course, painting is part of what the miniatures are, this is a game for you. If you live in the U.S. or other places, I think in the U.S. is where you can get these the most. You can buy this, go to the publisher's website, take a link off, and they'll take you to a place that has everything. Unfortunately, I could only get it at Board Game Bliss. Even the Century Box in Calgary had 1 box, and it's not really worth my my purchasing for shipping, for what they're going to charge me for shipping. It's a $30 box, and they'll charge me $20 for shipping, so I'm not going to buy it. But at the end of the day, I would consider this coming to Kickstarter with those new factions, of which this Risen Knight is, of course, a new faction. And we didn't look at the other faction, but we might. Maybe we'll do another one later on and look at these other two factions. But for now, that is a good game, and I'm going to tell you that I really appreciated them Corey sending me a couple of games, giving me an opportunity to see this. I love the system, so I'm going to try to invest myself a little bit more into this system. As I said, I may go to my friends today, and we may actually pull this out and have fun with it. Other than that, my name is Harry Jacobs. I am the North of 60 Gamer, and I thank you for being here. Please hit the like if you liked what I did today. Please show your appreciation by subscribing to this channel. And of course, if you want notifications, please hit the bell. Also, if you have any comments, please put the comments below in the comment section. And as always, I can be found on various gaming boards like Board Game for One, Board Game Revolution, Everything Board Game, Solo Board Gamers, the Board Game Group, and a bunch of other board gaming groups that are sitting out in Facebook. So please feel free to say hi, and I do post some exclusive content for Board Game Revolution, so look for some postings there, because that's the only place you're going to see those postings. So thanks very much, and I will see you the next time.